Hello and welcome to Mana Clicker 1 Part 1, where we will take a look at Scratch itself a little bit, and we will set up the background and something to click on in the game. If this is your first time watching the video, I recommend that you watch the video all the way through, and then after that try to do what it is I'm showing, because there might be some things that take a little bit of explanation. So the first thing we're going to do is we're going to go to Scratch. It's scratch.mit.edu. Just Google it. And then you should create an account if you don't have one. Get somebody to help you if that is needed. You sign in. The reason we do that is next time you'll be able to continue the project. And then we're going to click Create Project. Once you got done that, you should get to a screen that looks a little bit like this. So in Scratch we have some areas. I'll just briefly explain what each area is, and we'll cover them more as we need them. First, on the left here we have the blocks. That is the code we're going to use. In this course we're going to cover a lot of these, but not all of them. The center area here is where we write the code by simply dragging a block in. Over on the right we have the current game screen here, and we have all the sprites we have in the game down here and some properties for each sprite, and we also have the backdrop here. Up here at the top we have a green flag that is start the game and a red stop sign that is stop the game. So let's start by changing the backdrop, because right now it's a boring white color. I'm going to move my mouse down here in the bottom right corner. As you can see, there are many options here, but in this course we're just going to use things that are already in Scratch. So I'm just going to click choose, and I'm going to make a castle themed game, and I think this backdrop here suits my need. You can choose any backdrop you want, and now we have a beautiful backdrop. I'm going to click this expand button up here in the right corner, and this will show me how other people will see the game, and that looks okay. Now if I click the green flag, nothing happens. We haven't written any code yet. So let's go back here. For this explanation I'm going to add one more backdrop. I'm scrolling all the way down here, and I'm going to choose the XY grid. So now we can see a grid as a backdrop. If I take my cat here and click on it, I can drag it around and it will go to different positions. If I expand again, you can see now it's in the upper right corner. So how do we know where the cat is? We're going to use this coordinate system here, which is why I chose this grid. X is left and right. So if I move the cat all the way to the left, it will have a low X value, and we can see the X value right here. Right now it says -191, which looks sort of correct because -200 is here with this line. And Y is up and down, and Y is here, so I can see my current position. And I can move the cat around, and every time I drop it, the new position of the cat is shown here. Now let's say I want my code to put the cat in a specific position. So I'm going to go over on the left in the motion blocks, and I'm going to take the one that is called go to XY. And you can see by default the X value and the Y value here is the current position of the cat. But let's say I wanted it to go to the center. The center is 0 and 0. And I can click go to XY and it will go here. I can take another one of these and I can say go to 100 and 100, and I can click this one. So now I can click these two to go back and forth. Let me go back to the center. Now you can see here I have one more thing called size here. Going to looks over on the left, these are just different chapters of blocks. Anytime you don't know where to find a block, look at the color of the block and find the matching section over here. I'm going to take this one, set size. Let me take two of them. I'm going to take one that is set size to 50% and one that is set size to 200%. And if I click this, it gets smaller and this number changes, and it gets bigger and this number changes. Can also just change the number here, 150, and it changes to 150. Let me set the size back to 100 and go to the center. This doesn't really work for a game. The game cannot be that somebody has to go in here and click different blocks to make the game run. So what we have is something called a hat block. It's here in events, and we have the green flag here. This means whenever anybody clicks this green flag, do whatever it says underneath here. And I simply attach my block like this. So this says when somebody clicks the green flag, go to the center of the screen and then do the next thing. It's like lines on a piece of paper. Go to the center and set size to 100. So now if I click the green flag, it goes to the center, sets the size to 100, and then there's nothing else, so the game stops again. But I can go anywhere I want, and when I click the green flag, it goes back here. Let's have a little bit of fun with direction here as well. If I go into the motion section, I have these two, turn clockwise and turn counterclockwise. If I click this one, it turns clockwise. And if I click this one, it turns counterclockwise. I can change this number to decide how much does it turn. If I set it to like 350, it will look like it moves the other way, because 360 is an entire circle. So 350 is almost an entire circle. And Scratch does everything it says here, and then it places the cat. So making these numbers really big doesn't make a lot of sense. If I write 15,000 here, it will not look any different than me just putting a more sensible number. And I have, if I can find it, point in direction here. And this simply says if I want to point in a specific direction. If I click here, I can change it like this. And it's important to note that 90 is pointing right. So let's say I did this. Nope, I want to do this. And I attach this one here. Now it should go to the center and resize and point in the correct direction when I click the green flag. And it does. So let's add something a little bit better than a cat. So I'm going to go down here and I'm going to choose a sprite. And again, I will not use these sections right now. I will simply click choose a sprite. I have decided for now that we will use the crystal, this one. And you can see it flips between two different pictures here. So let me click that. Now I have two different sprites here. Let me grab a green flag and put here so we can see something is going on. And I can choose, do I want to look at the cat, sprite 1, or the crystal? Or I can click the backdrop. If you get confused later which one I'm looking at, you can just see it's highlighted with purple here. Right now I'm at the stage, now I'm on the crystal, now I'm on sprite 1. So let's go to the crystal. Up here on the left, I'm going to click costumes. As you can see, these two costumes that we just saw, they are here. I'm going to choose crystal B because that's the one I like. You can choose the one you like. Now I want to place the crystal in the center and I want it to be bigger. So let's say the first thing I want to do is I want to make sure when we start the game, even if I moved it by mistake, when I start the game, it should go to the center of the screen. And I feel like the size should be 200%. Yeah, let's do 200% for now. So go to looks, set size to 200%. And there we have it. Now I have this cat here that also goes to the center and is right on top of my crystal. I don't want that. So let's go back to the cat. Let's say I wanted to delete these lines here. I could just drag them over on the left and they're gone. Or I can right click and choose delete block and it's gone. But actually I want to delete the entire sprite. So I'm gonna click this garbage can here. And it asks, are you sure? If you delete something by mistake, it's gone and there's no recovery here. So be careful what you say yes to. But I want to delete this. So now on my crystal, if I maximize the screen and click the green flag, it's a little bit of a boring game. Nothing happens. So let's add some functionality here. In my events, I have another hat block. See, they look like a cap. So we call them a hat block. I'm going to say when this sprite is clicked, I want something to happen. Now, what do I want to happen? I think we should play a sound. So I'm going to start sound collect. Not the one that says play sound collect until done. We'll talk about later why that is. And now if I click the green flag, you can hear the sound here. It doesn't really do anything yet. So in our game, I would like, when I click the crystal, I would like to get 1 mana, just like in Cookie Clicker. So we need some way to keep track of how much mana have I got. For that we use variables. I'm going to click on variables over here on the left. I'm going to click make a variable. And I'm just going to call it mana. And it's going to be for all sprites. We will talk about later what that means. And click OK. So now I have, if you look over here on my game screen, I have 0 mana. If I make this large, I have 0 mana. And I click, I still don't get any mana. So what we want is when this sprite is clicked, we're going to start the sound and we're going to change. It's important that you use the one that's change, not set. Change mana by 1. So now if I run the game again and I click, I get 1 mana every time. Now if I stop the game and I start again, I start with 17 mana, which is a little bit strange. I thought when we start a new game, we should start with 0. That's because Scratch remembers the variables. The only way for Scratch to forget the variables is to close the browser window completely and then open it again. Then it will forget. But I want, if I click stop and I click start again, it should reset mana. So the way I'm going to do that is I'm going to go to the backdrop over here on the right. And I'm going to take a green flag block. I'm going to go to variables and now I'm going to set mana to 0. That means when the green flag is clicked, my backdrop will set mana back to 0. And then my crystal, you can increase it by 1 every time you click. So if I click start, it is 0, and then I can increase my mana by clicking. And I click the green flag, it goes back to 0 again, which is a lot better. I think it's time to change the backdrop back to something a little bit more appropriate. I'm going to select the backdrop, and up here, just like we could change costumes, I can change the backdrop. So I'm going to change it to the one I already added, which was the castle costume. And let's go back to the code again. That was it for today's video. Next time we will look at how we can add some animation to the crystal so it doesn't just look so boring when we click it. And we will see how we can change the sound as well. The link for the current version of the code is in the description if you need it, so you can remix for next time. Please like the video and comment if you have any questions or ideas about this project. Thank you.